Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us on a very cool, very special, very fun episode of Fonecallz.
Hello?
Today, we are joined by the very, very talented Woodhawker, also known as BeatEmUps.
Hi. Thanks for having me. Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
I'm so excited for so many reasons. I feel like a lot of people right now are like, who?
No, I think, well, if we could turn that on you, let's explain how we met up.
Okay.
You had reached out to us when we all lived in LA. Mm-hmm. For people who don't know, but probably do know, Wood has an extensive history on YouTube of reviewing, commentating, Twitch streaming, video games, among other things. And you were going to a video game convention and invite us along. And it was so funny being there with you because Wood was getting accosted right and left by all these.
I was thinking about that today. We kept
adoring fans.
We kept trying to have conversations, and this one lovely kid kept coming up and trying to tell me about his comic book he was writing. We'd be in the middle of talking, and he'd come up and start acting it out. I'm like, oh my god, I'm trying to talk to F&D right now.
Well, I say that. Do you remember that, Vin?
I remember like people coming up to you. I don't remember him acting specific scenarios out though.
Oh, he was.
It was pretty funny.
He was.
Well, I say that because I guarantee there's probably going to be quite a few people listening to this who are very familiar with you. And
for your listeners, I hope so. I think that would be cool. But I think I think what you guys do on the internet, what you guys have done, and what I do are very different demographic. So I don't know how much crossover there'll be. I'm hoping that'd be really cool. But for me, I just really wanted to collaborate with you guys on something. You were in a vlog that I shot at that convention, and that was monumental for me. But to actually be in something that you guys are creating is a dream. So thank you so much for having me. I'm actually nervous. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, don't be.
I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Good. I want you to be.
We want you to be titillated.
Oh, I am very titillated.
Speaking of which, are you coming to the there was another one of those conventions happening this year, right?
Yeah, like 2 days ago. So no, I'm not.
Oh shit.
Man,
we just missed it, sadly. I'm working on way too much right now to travel, and my wife and I, Kim, we're trying to move to Philly. So any like trip we're doing right now is like trying to move to Philly. Why'd you get so excited for that?
Because Wood, you know I'm in Ohio right now.
I know that. Yeah.
We'll be that much close. Well, I mean, you're in Texas, so
I know.
I mean,
how close is Ohio
to Philly?
Yeah.
A lot closer than Texas.
Well, what about
it'd be a lot easier to meet up.
If you were to drive, how long would it be?
I don't know exactly to Philly. I mean, to Pittsburgh, it's like an hour and a half.
Oh.
But
it can't be any more than like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not that bad.
Okay. We could meet up in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
We go to Hershey Park.
That
would be cool. That'd be fun.
Like, as in the chocolate?
I actually don't know, but everyone keeps telling me to go to Hershey Park. I think they have like rides and stuff. I think it's a whole thing. But yeah, as in the chocolate.
If I was in Philly in 7th grade, I feel like the joke would be like you go to Hershey Park to have butt sex. I'm sorry. It's just whatever.
If you were in 7th grade, Vin. If you were in 7th grade.
Not now.
Yeah,
Did
no,
we
if
not
I was,
just
if I
end
was
one of the
33,
previous
I would
podcast
definitely.
We just ended one of the previous episodes with a fart, so I don't think we need a preface by saying if I was in 7th grade.
Yeah, I think maybe. Okay, starting now, Aaron starting after that, and Wood, you will also be witness to this.
Mm-hmm.
No more poop or fart or butt or fecal
Hasn't
matter
there been
or
one
dung
in
or
like every
diarrhea
episode
or...
so far, and you just essentially opened with one?
Yeah. Seriously.
No, this is cutting it off now.
I have zero faith in this.
I'm tightening up like a sphincter, and no more will come out.
So I don't even know where to start, but I mean, like, Wood.
Well, I know where to start. You playing Elden Ring?
Am I playing Elden Ring? Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, sorry, Aaron, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's just the talk of the town right now. That's the hot tops. But continue. But ask your question again.
No, I mean, you already opened that up, so I want to know more because you've been playing it, right, Vin?
I played for 3 hours last night. That's as much as I've played so far.
I haven't played much
What's
more.
the consensus? What do you guys think?
You go first. I have a hot take.
I also do. I think I might have a hot take. it's hard for me to say because again, I've played it for 3 hours, but I mean, I saw this like picture where it was like 10 out of 10 across the board.
The whole screen is filled up with 10 out of 10s. Yeah.
And I mean, like, it's just goth Breath of the Wild.
Oh my God.
Like, did Breath of the Wild get 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10?
It did get a lot of 10s. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean,
by
look,
the way,
I'm sure it's
your audience, you're gonna be fine. If I went live on my channel and said, you know, guys, I think Elden Ring is just a goth Breath of the Wild, I would be railed, dude. I would be canceled.
Be careful what you say on this. If any of your fans come on and listen,
I don't care. I'm saying this, and I will admit that that's coming from a very ill-informed position because, I said, I played it for 3 hours and I haven't
disagree.
even.
Well, GameSpot's review was literally titled "Death of the Wild."
I like that actually.
So I think you're in good company, Vin, with that take.
Well, what do you think, Wood?
No, I don't think you're wrong, honestly. I'm not a huge Souls guy, so like this is coming from a place of like don't take me seriously, but it's definitely when I saw like all the trailers and everything it was getting hyped up, I was like, oh, From Software is making like a Lord of the Rings type game, like a new experience, something. Did you play Sekiro, however you pronounce it?
I never got around to it.
Well, it was a Souls game, but it was completely different. Like, this ninja thing, probably not a ninja, but you're like zipping around on like a wire and you're like slashing with samurai swords and everything. And so I thought that Elden Ring would be a new take, but as soon as I started playing it, I was like, oh, this is Dark Souls. This is Dark Souls 4. Like it plays exactly the same way. So that personally bummed me out a little bit. As far as 10 out of 10 scores, I don't know if any game is a 10 out of 10. Like even Breath of the Wild is like 9.5. Like is anything perfect really?
No.
Well, how do you quantify perfect?
You're absolutely right. But that's, I mean, I absolutely agree with you. But then what's the point of rating anything at all if nothing can achieve a 10? Is the 10 just there to be like it's just like taunting game developers or anybody. It's like you'll never be perfect.
When I go on certain video game sites that like rarely give out 10s and I see a 10, I'm like, oh damn, and I think that's kind of the point of it. Even though I agree with you, Wood, it's like you see it and you're just like, really? Is it a perfect game?
I'll say that as far, and let's bring it back in because we're starting this with upsetting a lot of Souls fan. But as far as a Souls game go, like if you like Demon Souls and Dark Souls and all of those, it's definitely the best one. So like in the Souls game franchise, in the Souls genre that the Souls games created, it's definitely a 10 out of 10. It's the best one they've ever done, like 100%. Like the improvements are obviously there. It's open world. There's so much to explore and do. But as far as like all video games, I don't know.
I've heard it's like the hardest Souls game, and I haven't really played any Dark Souls, but like I already know. I think the only thing I've played is Bloodborne, and I was terrible at that.
Same.
And I
just think I wasn't terrible.
I think I'm reaching the point now where I'm bad at video games. Like it's just a steady decline from like my high school years.
Your motor skills are just kind of failing. Dude,
it's bad. My brother was like, you have to play Returnal, and I've been playing it, and I just have been sucking so bad. I'm like, is it even fun? It's just so hard.
That game is pretty hard, to be fair.
It's freaking hard.
You need to practice with that one.
Starting to second guess myself. But anyways, is it really difficult? Is it to the point where it's just like, this isn't fun?
It's stupid. It's stupidly hard. Like, it's dumb hard. The first so I played Demon Souls on PlayStation 5 when it came out. I hadn't played it before, and I sat down on Twitch, and I beast moded like 5 boss without dying. And like, even my chat was like, how are you doing this if you've never played the game? I think I was just getting lucky. But the first boss, the first big one in this Elden Ring, I almost cried. Like, it was so bad. Yeah. I had to leave and like do other stuff in the world for like a day, and then I came back and I had to try 20 more times, and I finally beat it. And I was screaming, dude. Like, I wanted to break everything. I was so agitated the rest of the day too. Like, my whole day was ruined.
That's funny.
The difficulty though is there for like, I mean, you have such a discrepancy when it comes to like talented gamers though, and that's, I think, has got to be the challenge of developing games, is you have people like, you see these dudes do speed runs.
Yeah,
like people who speed run video games, they make it look like it's just
The speed running is insane. And like, as much as everyone complains about Dark Souls, there are people that do these like Dark Soul challenges where they play through all 3 games in one sitting, no deaths. And if they get to like the 3rd game and die, they have to go back to the first game and start all over again. And people have legitimately completed that challenge. Like, I don't get it.
I think I saw a guy complete Dark Souls, like he like hardwired it to like a Dance Dance Revolution mat or something,
dude,
and like did the whole thing. Like it just gets ridiculous.
You ever see those like montages? It's like people are amazing, and then it's like people doing like cool. Usually it's like a lot of acrobatic stuff. People are amazing, and then it's someone doing exactly what you just said would. It's just a 3-hour video or like a 9-hour video.
It is amazing. It's insane. I love too many video games to spend that amount of time in one game or like one franchise. Like, I can't do it.
I've always been interested in this. So in your line of like in your career, you know, your YouTube is heavily Nintendo focused, but obviously you play everything. You Twitch stream. How do you gauge what you're gonna play for how long? Is it purely like, I just love this and I could just binge this, or is it like, well, shit, I need to kind of do my research on something else so I could talk about it for a video? Like, how do you kind of schedule it out?
It's a complete nightmare. It's an horrific nightmare. Games come out way too quick these days, and sometimes you have to let things go. You have to let certain games go. For the most part, I try and stay on Nintendo stuff as much as I can. Anything that comes out that's even like a slightly big release, I talk about it, I make a review of it, and I'm in a really, really lucky position where almost anything that comes out Nintendo, people will watch me for it. They just want to know my take on it. If it's good, medium, or bad, they don't even necessarily have to care about the game. They'll watch the video to see what I say, and I'm so, so, so thankful for that. So when it comes to like Horizon and Elden Ring, I'm loving those games right now, and I want to review them, but Switch things keep happening. So those reviews are getting pushed further and further and further out of relevancy. And if I don't review them in the next week, I think I just got to let them go, which sucks because I have so much to say. But like the Switch, and I realized yesterday when I was going to make an Horizon review, my friend messaged me and he's like, the Switch turns 5 on Thursday. It's the 5-year anniversary. And I was like, oh my God, I can't not do a video for that. So I had to scrap the Horizon thing and the Elden Ring thing. And I went to Party City before this call, and I'm staring at giant 5 balloons and a Mario balloon. And I'm going to party out my room and make a video about the Switch's anniversary. But it's constant, yeah. And on Twitch, too, it's always chasing what's hot. Like lately, I've been streaming Pokemon Legends Arceus, and that's been popping. Nintendo Switch Sports beta came out, and I like peaked on viewers streaming the beta. I'm even streaming Elden Ring, which has been a nightmare. But yeah,
I have a question real quick about the Pokemon stuff, because I through like whatever social media osmosis, I picked up that like people were buying Pokemon card packs, and you were doing a couple like buying Pokemon card packs. What kicked that off? Like what?
The whole Pokemon card thing?
Yeah, like what reignited it?
Logan Paul. I'm not even kidding.
I didn't know that.
My guess was gonna be.
It was Logan stupid Paul.
Well, did he just do it, and then it was like, and then it just.
I'm trying to remember what it was he did, but I think he just like 6 months or maybe even a year ago. Time flies. He bought like a $50,000 OG Pokemon box. Like it was like one of the most expensive boxes you can buy. It was, I mean, Pokemon cards and all that, obviously expensive. They've been expensive, but that was right at the cusp of before it got ridiculous. And he bought something that was a stupid amount of money, and he opened it on stream, and then he did a couple of things where he got scammed. I do finger quotes because you don't know if it's real or that he actually got scammed, or if it was for clicks or not.
Mm-hmm, right.
But he got scammed on some big boxes, and just all that just got people back into Pokemon somehow. Like the algorithm on YouTube popped for Pokemon cards, so everyone was buying sets and wanting to open them for views and buying the old sets. And then Target all of a sudden went from having stock all the time to now you can't find Pokemon cards in Target, Walmart, GameStop. Like literally, I was trying to get Pokemon cards around that time, and if you went to Target when they were stocking, they would rope off the stocker for his protection so that no one could get in while he was stocking the shelf, and then they would like unrope it, and everyone would like charge in and buy all the Pokemon cards. It was insane. It's finally calming down now, but it was insane for a long time.
When we did our sketch, the merchandise, where I open a briefcase and we reveal that the merchandise is a briefcase full of holographic Pokemon cards.
I remember
There's
that.
all these people commenting now on the video. They're like, that would have been worth so much money these days.
That's funny.
And they're right. I mean, those are some like OG, holographic cards. It probably would have fetched, I don't even want to know.
Probably more than a briefcase worth of money in the end.
Seriously.
I just realized if you rearrange some of the letters in Logan, you get algo. Sounds like algorithm. I think Logan Paul actually is a sentient algorithm, and whatever he does is now like it's actually the algorithm is become embodied in a human being.
Right.
So now whatever he does actually dictates what happens on the YouTube
I don't think he
algorithm.
actually exists. I think he is a YouTube program for like the perfect alpha YouTuber that Google has created.
I mean, yeah, we could do some research. We could definitely circle back to this and find some evidence to support this argument. But for the sake of moving on,
You need to rearrange his brother's name too. Jake. What can you make out of Jake to further concrete this? Cage?
Kaji.
Kaji? Maybe in some other language it means
Something.
Something there. There's something there.
You know, I have a weird theory. Do you want to go on a quick tangent?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a weird theory that the race to build like sentient or learning AI is on. Like Google's involved, Facebook's involved. Like whoever can create the first like AI that looks and acts like an actual person, whether it's a program, obviously a robot or something, is going to make a lot of money because it hasn't been like properly done yet. And I've always had this theory because I had someone break it down. Someone actually told me YouTube is doing this, but I think it's legit. Think about how many hours of footage is uploaded to YouTube every day. And think about how much of it is like us talking. Like we're doing it right now, uploading. The algorithm tracks everything, right? It knows what we're saying because it builds captions. It knows emotions because I don't know if you know, but when you upload a video, Google's algorithm will look at your thumbnail and your title and the way you talk in the video to see if it's a happy video, if it's a sad video, if it's a scary video. And you can actually, there's ways of actually finding out. You can go to like Google Camera Lens or whatever, and it'll look at your thumbnail and tell you if it's like a happy thumbnail, joyous thumbnail, whatever. The algorithm is learning humans, how we act. So can you imagine if YouTube takes all of that, all its knowledge, and it builds an AI and eventually does create a content creator that's purely in YouTube, that's purely an algorithm, that is uploading videos every day, that's just being instantly created, and they know that it's family friendly, they know that it's perfect for advertisers, and it's just creating its own content, acting like a human every day. That'll happen one day.
It'll be like, that will be the selling point. Like, this AI is creating YouTube content. Like, let's see how it does. And people will love it just for that reason alone.
People will watch that insanity. Like, can you imagine, like, what you would want to know every day? What did the AI create today? What are they talking about? What are their thoughts on that? Like, how are they behaving and acting? And imagine if they can start replying to comments and they start building a fan base and interacting with their fan base. You think VTubers and like that is insane right now with people watching like people behind like a VTuber? Imagine it's real.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about that.
It scares me.
A lot of the tech giants, or at least some tech giants, are definitely trying to push the brakes on AI, or at least warn others. Like, hey, we have to control this before we let it loose. I think for those exact reasons, it's like, too much power. It's like we haven't gotten to that point yet. So as is the case with every fatal, everything fatal in human history, it takes a disaster for us to reel it in and learn how to, fix things. So I think something will be released and it'll be detrimental for us to be like, maybe we should do something about this.
Here's what I'm thinking though. Like, so I mean, inherently, like that idea is inherently like scary for the reason that like the Terminator lore is scary. We've kind of been like, we've in a way been programmed to feel like AI is like bad, but like I'm actually trying to think like what could be, like what is so inherently bad about a YouTube AI creator, unless for like a vlog it like gets the nuke codes and nukes like it nukes countries. It's like check out what I did today. And like the AI just starts sending the nukes off. But besides that, I'm really trying to think of like Like,
Like
what
and
is so
subscribe.
terrifying about it?
I don't know. I could see it getting really eerie, like without getting like super dark. But imagine if the AI starts thinking it's getting YouTube burnout, or it starts getting depressed, and it starts going off on like wild tangents. Like it just gets all kinds of confused. Because I don't know if you've actually seen like some infant AI stuff, but that happens where they've let this like AI run wild and see what happens, and it very quickly gets super dark. There's actually a weird website you can go to where you can chat with an AI bot, and it'll talk back to you. Like I've done it for videos. It was weird. I did a video where I was like an AI bot picks my Nintendo Switch games. And like I would be trying to have a conversation with it about like pick me a Switch game, and it would start asking me to like kiss or like hug or like do you want to meet up? Like it would say like do you want to meet up? And I was like no, you're not real. And it wrote back like you're not real. And I'm like oh my god, this is freaking me out. But like sometimes it just gets dark really quick.
Well, the problem is if it's learning human communication over the internet, that's the worst place to learn human communication.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine Twitter teaching an AI bot?
It would just be like, I mean, in a way, it'd be like a kind of a nice, like, here's like the darkest parts of humanity reflected back at us. But also, it's like, it's kind of, and that kind of makes me happy. Like, barring that point, like, if it was some pure, like, if it wasn't that, if it was like a computer gaining consciousness and it gets depressed, it's like, haha, welcome to the club, buddy. We've been dealing with this. We've been dealing with this.
One of us.
I kind of want to see it, but it's weird that we got here. How did we get here?
Oh, I said the thing about rearranging the letters in Logan Paul's name, and he's a sentient algorithm.
Yes, it was your fault, not my fault for bringing up the whole AI thing. Good.
I'm happily take the blame.
All right, so let's rewind.
Video games.
So,
can we rewind like all the way to the start? Because I want to talk about growing up watching you guys. Is that okay?
Yeah,
we can totally go to video games, but I never actually, I guess, told you guys like what got me into your content and like.
Well, I was just about to ask, like, what jump started your career on YouTube? So I guess that if that segues, or if that, go for it.
Well, as far as jump starting my career, I grew up, and I say grew up, but I mean, you guys started uploading 15 years ago, which is crazy. I actually had to go and like look at when that started. And your content was like legit probably the earliest memories I have of YouTube. Like I can't think of what was before that. And your skits and the things you were making, I got all my high school friends into it too. And we started making our own skits. We never uploaded them, thank God, because they were very weird. But we would just make these skits in my friend's house, and we would just watch them back and laugh. And then the next sleepover night we'd do the same thing. And it was really purely inspired by you guys. What got me into YouTube, and I want to jump back to watching you growing up and all of that, but what got me into YouTube, to answer that question, was it wasn't until I started watching some retro gaming content. Game Chasers was a channel in specific that I was watching them go out and buy these retro video games, and I'd already had all these thoughts. I was like, because I wanted to make skits like I was doing already with my friends, but couldn't upload them. I wanted to do a bunch of stuff, but it was that was like, okay, I can do that. So that got me into it. I started doing retro game collecting, but I was always very like wanting to put skits into the videos. And even now with my reviews, I always do like skits like at the start or at the end or in the middle. And that was all, inspiration and inspired by you guys, because growing up when I was, before 16, I didn't know what skits were. I never thought about doing comedy and like little bits and like funny things. But it wasn't until I started watching your content that I started to get into that. My very first video that I saw of yours was old school YouTube algorithm recommending me Gay Zombie, which might not be the most politically correct video anymore.
I think the message still holds up.
It's still very funny. But that one, and then, I went back and started watching everything. I think I've seen every video on your guys' channel. I mean, there's so many that, weirdly, because I was like 16 at the time, this is nostalgia, like the Magic Mentos, and I'm looking at them now so I don't forget them, but I am picking out the ones that really stand out. The lightsaber one was huge. Like, it's burnt into my brain the way that you like swung the lightsaber. I think I just watched that video so many times. Parkour Kids, I still sing now, like around the house all the time, and I have done my whole life. Ones like the Cheer Uppers. F&D TV was huge. I was always so excited for the next one, and I think there was only, what, like 2 or 3?
There was like 3.
There was 3, and then years later we did a 4th one.
That was like, I
did
always wanted more of that. Like, I always...
Aaron,
I was
you're
like,
coming
please.
Aaron's coming to visit LA soon. Maybe we do another one.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I remember, to go off on a little tangent on that, the F&D TVs we love doing, but at the same time, I think we might have talked about this. They were always so hard to do because it was like
so many different things.
Like so many different it was like, instead of just shooting 1 sketch, you're shooting 5 sketches, so you need 5 times the locations and costumes.
But
and
they were so good, and you never knew. You never knew what was going to cut to next. Like the basketball ones with like breaking legs and stuff.
Yeah, we had that.
Well, that's
So
where it got
funny.
really fun, because that's when we met Ruby Dog, and we were like, "Hey, do you guys want to make a skit for this?" And oh man,
Yeah,
there was
You
no
guys
better
got
one.
me into Ruby Dog, and then I would watch all of his stuff too. That was it was like Serial or something. That was like a 40-minute long masterpiece.
Yeah, that video was amazing. I remember I watched that, and I was like kind of like jealous, like low key, like mad, because I was like, oh, they're so fucking good. Like I definitely had that in me where I would get jealous. I was like, damn, these guys are fucking good. But we hung out with them, and we became fast friends with them.
We're good friends with them, but Serial is one of the best videos on the internet.
That's the one that like
believe.
I think that's the one that also got them in with like Freddie W and stuff, because I know Freddie W loved that video.
Yeah,
I used to watch Freddy a lot too. That's funny though, like you know that you two had these like channels that were so similar and then came together and became friends. I mean that happens to like every. I feel like every YouTuber, like every like generation or every like offshoot of like YouTuber content, like for me the most relatable is my friend Bob Wolf, the channel Wolf Den. His content is so much like mine. He even looks like me. And eventually we just like ran across each other and then started making content together, and now we're like great friends. And I'm like going to go visit him in a month. He's in New York. But I love that. I love when channels can come together and like create things together.
It's the law of attraction at work.
Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, I bought your first DVD. I want to let you know. I bought Action World.
Did you really?
I was mega fan, dude. I watched it so many times, and I got my friends to watch it, and sadly I don't have it anymore. And I was thinking the other day, like, when did I lose it? And then I remembered when I was leaving Australia, because I grew up in Australia. When I was leaving Australia, I did a garage sale, and some guy came through collecting DVDs. He was like a DVD collector, and I had a huge DVD collection, and he's like, I'll buy all of it. And like, I wasn't even thinking at the time, I'm moving country. I'm like, yeah, take it. And then it was like the other day I was thinking he would have got Action World, and I wonder if he ever watched it.
That's the fun. That's what I love about physical media, is you don't know where. I mean, we sold a decent amount of those.
We got a message.
Who knows where? They're all over the world. I mean,
we got a message from someone that sent us a picture of like I forget which DVD it was, but it was like in a Walmart bin, like one of our DVDs.
It was Action World in a bargain bin somewhere. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, someone said they found a shirt of mine at a Goodwill once. One of my BeatEmUps shirts. I was like, that's crazy.
That's funny.
Watching, because I've always been curious about like how other people have perceived the evolution of YouTube, because I mean, for me, it's like it was like sketch comedy, and then it was like prank videos, and then it was like, and then I'm sure there's obviously something else in there, but now I think YouTube is not like, you can't put it in like you can't specifically name what it is, because there's so many niches that like, for someone watching something and like, whatever like their whole world is on YouTube, or they're watching whatever fucking YouTubers like get millions of views, somebody else has like never even heard of those people.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious.
That's what I was saying at the start of this. I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised even with my, million something subs if nobody has heard of me, because it's just one of them things. It's like, sometimes I'll go to a con and they'll be like, oh, this guest is going to be here, and it's got like 5 million subs. I'm like, never heard of him. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, that's me every day searching Instagram or YouTube. I mean, now especially with YouTube, it's like the longer you are off those platforms, oh my gosh, you're just dwarfed by like who is that?
Yeah,
Wait,
I think the craziest one for me is that I was at a con, and this girl and her boyfriend came over and started talking to me, and we hit it off. We were talking all day, and then after a while, 'cause I knew she was a YouTuber, she mentioned that. And then after a while, I was telling her about my subs and my views, and like we were just talking about like content creating, right? And then she was like, yeah, I remember when I hit 10 million or something. And I was like, wait, sorry,
Whoa.
how many subs do you have? And she was like 13 million. And she was playing it so low key the whole time. I like looked her up, never heard of her. She was in the beauty community, but it's insane. But what was your question?
My question was, how have you perceived the evolution of YouTube? Like, if you had to like categorize it up until now, like, could you, or like, what would you think?
And like, where is it now, I guess? But maybe we just answer that. But yeah, interested to hear your take on it.
That is, yeah, it's hard to answer. I mean, watching it, I remember when I was told about YouTube. Weirdly, I remember the class I was set in high school, I guess 2004, right? And someone's like, have you heard of YouTube? And I was like, no. And then they started showing me some videos of like cats or something, and I was like, cool. Like, and from there, like, I didn't really care about it for a little while until I found you guys, and then I got into it and started watching a ton of stuff. But I never really like paid attention to like what was happening, I guess. As you said, like, I watched skit stuff mostly. I watched you guys and like Freddy and stuff like that. I thought the skits were really funny. When I got into YouTube, I landed in the retro game community, which at the time, like I started my channel 9 years ago in May. And at the time, it was like booming, the retro game community. Like, retro games were like super expensive. It was like Pokemon cards at the time. They were super expensive. Everyone wanted to get their hands on them. Everyone was trying to find videos about hidden gems on the NES. It was just that period. And anything retro was getting crazy views. I had friends that blew up making retro content. But around about like the Wii U and then the Switch coming out, it all shifted, and that retro stuff just kind of died, and you couldn't get views on it anymore. Like, channels that are doing retro stuff now are struggling unless they're like Scott the Was talking about NES games this week or something. Those are like the only videos that'll do well within that community now. And for me, I just jumped into the gaming scene with the new stuff, and that's really all I know. But as you said, I mean, like, people still doing insane things with like the with like the makeup and the beauty community is still super popular. The skit community can be super popular. Weirdly, the skit community, and I'm sure you know this, is like very short form, like 10 to 30 second skits. Like, that's that whole community.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the evolution of YouTube, it's just really opened up to everything, and gaming dominates, really. I mean, gaming
and so
beauty. Gaming and beauty dominates. I know that the whole like vlog scene and like family scene was really popular and bopping for a while.
Okay, that would I feel like that would have been a distinct period of like family vlogs, like Shaytards and like. And now it's like...
I forgot about them, yeah.
And not to bring up Mr. Algorithm himself for a second time in this video, but it was legitimately him that tanked that and ruined... So, like, at that time period, family vloggers and stuff were getting paid for CPMs, like, almost more or, like, as much as, like, everyone else. As, like, beauty and gaming really tend to get paid the best CPMs on YouTube, and family vlogs are up there. But as soon as he had his whole thing, YouTube realized that the whole vlogging thing was a risk, because you never knew what someone was going to say, or, you know, the life they live, or like what's going to happen on camera when they're all getting crazy with it, you know? So he tanked that whole thing. So I don't know how that scene is going, but... Was
that before or after? Well, because PewDiePie's thing kind of affected everybody, right?
Yeah, that affected everyone in a weird way, but honestly, it's kind of leveled out. I mean, at least for like, I can really only speak for gaming, because like, it's tough as well when you're on YouTube, because you're only really flying solo. There's no one you can really talk to. Like, everyone's at a different place. You might have friends that are like half your subs, at your subs, more subs, but different views. So it's hard to be like, I'm getting paid this much. How much are you getting paid? Like, it's kind of like a really awkward thing to talk about. So you only really know what's happening with you. And all I know with me is what I get, and that I'm luckily in Google preferred, and that gaming is one of the most successful and the highest paid CPMs on the platform, because for whatever reason, gaming does stupid well, and it's not seen as a risk.
Do you watch other gamers, or are you so immersed in what you're creating that you don't even have time to like enjoy other gamers on YouTube or Twitch for that matter?
I do, but it has to be content that's nothing like mine. I can't watch reviews, especially if like someone reviews a game and like I'm working on a review. I can't touch that, or else I'll get like influenced into thinking differently, or like I've wrote something one way and I feel something about something, and then they're like, I hate that thing, and I'm like, oh, do I actually like it, or am I wrong?
Oh yeah.
There's got to be like a strong. You have to have strong will to not worry about if you're gonna offend your audience or like piss off your audience, right? Because opinions dominate in games, you know. Like some people could love things and hate them at the same time. So it's like if you give a hot take on something and people don't agree with you, you risk like alienating, like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about, or
yeah, it's
that's
funny.
gotta be tough.
It's funny you bring that up because like literally 3 days ago, I uploaded a video to my channel kind of about this, and how, you know, people want their content creators or like their game reviewers to be as honest as possible at all times. You know, whether they're getting paid for something or not, they want their honest opinions. But then when their honest opinion isn't the same as their opinion, then suddenly it's the wrong opinion, or they don't want them to have that opinion. So it becomes really tough. And I you know, I second guess a lot of what I do online, but now that I have so many people watching, if I really don't like something that everyone seems to like, I just won't talk about the game. I'll be like, if I have nothing nice to say, I won't say anything at all.
I have a theory on that where like it is all under the umbrella of like the way people communicate on the internet in a very impersonal manner.
Yeah.
But like I think it also comes from this like pseudo intellectual snarkiness where like because you have your take and someone else wants to appear like, if your opinion to them is wrong, it's also an opportunity for them to appear smarter than you. Right. So then they'll just leave a comment being like, here's X, Y, and Z why you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. I get my feel-good points for the day. And then you would take it like, oh, I don't know how you take it, but like...
I take things very personally.
Yeah, you will take it personally, or
so
like
bad.
I mean, I do too. Like I get... and I think on one of the last episodes I said in a slew of like good comments, bad one will ruin my week
every time.
Yeah, I mean it's just like it's just people like using the opportunity to like, you know, make themselves feel, you know, big and strong and smart.
Well, what's
for a
that
moment.
saying? It says like cynicism does not equal intelligence. You know, which so many people need to understand, because nowadays there was I hope we're coming out of that, but it really does feel like, yeah, you're not adding anything to the conversation, and if you shit on somebody else for their, you know, for their opinion, it does not mean that you are more educated or, you know, like have a better opinion yourself. But that's the soapbox that people put themselves on in social media, which sucks.
There's so much that goes into it, and I've thought about all of it a lot. But something else I've realized is that the internet, and Twitter specifically, but the internet in general, really rewards snarkiness. Like those sarcastic, funny tweets, you know, that we all love, and they get shared around and they get retweeted and everyone loves them and likes them. They're always like a negative connotation to them. It's never like, I had a great day today, or I love the new season of Euphoria. You know, it's always like a hot take. It's always something snarky or sarcastic that blows up. So when you post something, almost always people are going to want to have the snarky take that gets all the likes, or the sarcastic, you know, borderline like, I'm just kidding, but here's my funny take. And it works the other way too with creators and stuff. And when I upload videos and content, I can't have every video be me with a big old cheesy grin and this thing is amazing. Like sometimes I do have to be like, this sucked, or this sucks, or like, was this good, and kind of balance the line between like, you know, good and bad, and snarkiness and sarcasticness, but also like excited for something, because, you know, happy and excited can only get so many views so many times, you know?
I mean, sometimes hating on shit is fun.
And sometimes hating on stuff is fun, yes, 100%. Some of my most popular videos are me finding a terrible game and making fun of it. And my review of Cyberpunk is one of my most viewed videos. So.
I mean, I'd rather you explore the range of human emotion in something as benign as a YouTube video than you picking up a gun and go hurting someone, so...
I would definitely prefer to make a bad review than that, yes.
Well, like speaking of Cyberpunk, I mean, that's a great example though, but also one that was, I think those are two different things. Like Cyberpunk deserved, I think, the backlash that it received for putting out a near unplayable game, you know, but then there's people that would take, you know, like a game that's finished as just not like to everybody's opinion, a good game, and then it just gets wrecked. So I need to go back and watch your Cyberpunk review, but I'm sure I would agree with every
My
bit of it.
Cyberpunk review is the best thing I've ever made. I think me and like my entire audience have all agreed that is the peak, and I'm just downhill from there.
Well, I bought Vin that for like, I don't know, for Christmas or something. I was just like, oh, we're gonna play Cyberpunk, and bought him the PS4 version. I had the PC at the time.
I bet that went well.
Well, the PC version, I was like, oh, this is a beautiful game until I got into all the glitches and bugs and stuff. And I was like, I'm not going to play this right now. But Vin's like, I'm like, dude, don't even play it. As I started reading up on it.
Got pulled from the shelves for like 6 months. You couldn't even download it on the PlayStation.
Well, I gave him the disc. I gifted him the disc version. I was like, dude, don't even pop it in. It's going to be a while.
I did. And yeah, I mean, it was... I played for like 2 hours, and then like the game broke, and like I got stuck. I went in like a strip club, and then like I couldn't. And then
I like how you played for 2 hours and ended up in a strip club.
It was part of a mission, I think. It was a nightclub or something, but yeah, there was a cutscene where I was talking with a character, and then like the camera jumped out to outside the club on my car, and then that was the view, but my character was still inside the club, and I could maneuver my character by using the mini map. So I was I was looking at the little dot on the mini map, trying to guide them out of the club, but like I was just hitting like solid walls of code that wouldn't let me out. And then
that sounds like Cyberpunk. Yeah, you got the experience.
Yeah,
I would love for a game developer to do a meta take on the state of video games right now and purposely design a game that is like acts like a AAA game that was released full of bugs, but the bugs are actually part of the gameplay.
That's
like
hilarious.
That's the point of it. And they actually work, well. It's like they're almost a game in themselves to try and get past the bugs.
That just kind of sounds like every single Ubisoft game, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're right. But somehow make it fun to play.
No, that does actually sound sick. I think you just gave away $1 million idea.
Well, I hope I can maybe collect royalties in court later on.
You won't.
Well, as far as that's concerned, what do you think? I think that brings us to like the state of games in general. Like, how do you feel about this new era of games being pushed out that are not finished, just so that developers can patch them later on and then hopefully make nice with all their fans?
My guess is going to be that Wood loves it.
You got it.
I want Angry Wood to come out.
That doesn't happen often. It's obviously not good. I mean, if you look at Halo, I don't know if you guys tried playing Halo Infinite, but that game was supposed to come out about a year ago, last Christmas, and then got delayed indefinitely at the time, and then ended up releasing before last Christmas, so a year later, and it still wasn't finished. The campaign was there, but it was missing the co-op mode, which a lot of people love that game for. The multiplayer was there, but it only had 5 maps and only a few modes to play on. And then Forge mode, which is, if you guys ever played Halo, the mode where you go in and you make game types, and it's got this whole community around it. It's one of the best parts of Halo. That wasn't there. And they finally release it with all that missing, and they're like, yeah, this will come in 3 months, co-op in 4 months, Forge in 6 months. It was out for maybe like 2 weeks, and they were like, none of that's happening. It could be years away. We have no idea. And the game's been out a few months, and nothing has been added, and the game is essentially dead with nothing to do.
Help me understand, like, is it that games are getting more, like, they're too big, they're more difficult to develop, and developers just like, we're going to figure this out on the fly? Because I mean, it used to be like when we grew up, the game you got on the disc or in the cartridge, that's it, like you couldn't afford to bake in a ton of bugs into it unless you just wanted a shitty game forever. So I mean, are developers leaning on patches too much and just being like, well, we have the opportunity to fix it now?
Fix it in post, bro. It's the same shit in like film. It's like, we'll fix it in the patch.
It's always case by case as to what happened with the game. Halo, for example, just went through development hell, and like different directors coming on board, changing things up, cutting things out, changing direction. It was supposed to be in development for like 5 years, but really it was in development for like a year or two before it finally released. Same thing with Cyberpunk. It was announced 13 years before it was released, but according to reports by the dev teams, it didn't really start till 18 months before the game came out. They started actually building the game. And if you go into the game's code or even look at a lot of it, so much was cut out from what they planned to do. It just wasn't the game it was supposed to be. A lot of those cases just come down to mismanagement. But a big thing as far as even when this idea is successful and they release a game, you know, partly, and then they start doing the updates or whatever, and it actually all goes to plan, I mean, really, you can thank Fortnite for that. Fortnite blew up, became a massive microtransaction beast. It became the most profitable video game ever because they can constantly drip feed and throw in content. They don't have to build anything new or actually make a new game. It just became games as a service. So now everything wants to be games as a service, whether that's skins, whether that's DLC. It's a way to make... Because you think about a game comes out for $60. They have to work like 2 to 5 years, depending on the game, to earn that $60 from you. But then they can release a skin that's $5, and it took someone an evening to make. They can release DLC that extends the campaign by 5 hours. It might take them, you know, a few months to make, but they can release that for $20. So suddenly they can make so much more money by adding little things into the game. And, you know, people will buy this or that or this or that. So everything is just becoming games as a service. I mean, everyone wants to have their big Fortnite.
Have you bought DLC? Have you bought skin? Do you buy skins, Wood?
It depends on the game.
See, you were kind of embarrassed to answer. It's that kind of question too, where nobody wants to admit to buying skins, but it's.
It depends on the game. It really does. Like, I used to play Warzone a lot before Warzone and Activision got in some hot water. But I was pretty big on like buying the battle pass. So I was a big battle pass guy. And then Halo, you know, the multiplayer had a battle pass. And then they released separately little cat ears for the helmet. And I'm not even kidding. This is a big point of contention with Halo and their DLC is all they're doing is cosmetics and it's so expensive. Those cat ears were $10.
That's insane.
But I bought them because I wanted cat ears. So literally a $60 game and then $10 cat ears.
So $70 for Halo plus cat ears.
Plus the battle pass, which I bought, which is another $10, so that's $80. You know, and then the battle pass runs out every couple of months, few months. You got to get the next one. That's another $10. That's games as a service. You know, they can extend the life. They can double the profits, and if they can keep it condensed in one game, that's why Overwatch 2 is coming out, but they're just adding in a whole game's worth of content into Overwatch 1 and calling it Overwatch 2, so they don't have this separate release, and everyone just buys the stuff for the old game.
Well, that's the way programs are going too. Now, I don't want to go on a tangent in this way, but it's the subscription model.
That's exactly what I was thinking, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hey, we used to just buy Adobe Premiere. Well, I never did, but you used to buy a program to edit your videos, and now it's like, hey, would you rather pay $20 a month for that editing software? It's like, no. Well, you're gonna have to. So you're right. That's what it's.
If you think about it, though, it's not really a surprise because I mean, all forms of media go subscription eventually, right? Music did it first. Then TV, movies, you know, you got Netflix, Hulu, Peacock, who knows what else, and now video games. And you have all these different models for it because video games are expensive. They cost a lot of money to make and to buy, so people are trying to figure out how to do it. I mean, you have Xbox with Game Pass, where you spend $10 a month and you have all these free games. And then you have games like Fortnite that are free, but everything in the game costs you money if you want cosmetic stuff. And then you have the $60 games, which come with cosmetics, or they come with battle passes as well. So there's all these different models, but it's no different to everything else that's happened with media up to this point.
This sounds like a perfect time to plug patreon.com/Fonecallz.
That is perfect.
It's all part of the Great Reset. You will own nothing and be happy.
Yeah, I mean everything, and that's another very scary conversation.
I mean, I'm being a little hyperbolic, but also not.
No,
really.
You're not wrong. I mean, so much stuff is going digital. I mean, this was the first generation of consoles with the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 that released alongside a digital version for those that didn't want discs. I mean, we're moving in that direction, and as much as I don't want to lose physical, a lot of us don't want to lose physical games. It's scary now, but like that happened with music and that happened with movies and TVs. We don't buy DVDs anymore. Sometimes you'll buy a 4K if you want to watch something in 4K, but everything is like it's easier and quicker just to rent it or just to subscribe to it. And video games are moving that way. And something you mentioned earlier, video games are so big now, they don't fit on the discs anyway. So often you'll buy a disc and then have to download half the game, which, great, you have the disc now, but in 10 years when the online store goes down, you can't download that patch anymore. So you have half a game on a disc. What good is that doing you?
It's actually comical how I didn't play games. There was a stretch where I just wasn't able to game as much as probably when my daughters were born. I didn't have the time. But then when I started playing again, I was like shocked at how every single time I turned on my system, I either had to update the operating system on like the PlayStation, update the game to the latest patch. I was just like, dude, I just miss putting this in and playing it. Like,
do you want to hear a quick horror story?
Yeah,
I went
please.
to get Horizon Forbidden West on launch. I went at the midnight launch. GameStop opened at 11 p.m. This was like a week or two ago. I go to pick up my copy, and GameStop's like, do you want to upgrade to the collector's edition, which came with a big mammoth figure and everything? I was like, sure, sick. I get home. I open up my steelbook case for my collector's edition. The collector's does not come with the disc. It comes with 3 pieces of paper with codes on it. So I upgraded to a collector's edition that didn't have discs. But it gets worse. I tried putting the codes in, and they said the codes were invalid. I had no idea why. So I kept trying and trying and trying and trying. And then eventually it said, you cannot redeem for 48 hours. You've tried too many times. So I'm sat there at midnight like, what the heck? So I go to bed. I wake up. I call PlayStation support the next day. And they're like, oh, the codes weren't active when you were using them. They're active now, but you won't be able to use it on your account for 48 hours. And I was on the phone with them for an hour, by the way. And they go, but I put a ticket in with support, and they will help get your account unblocked, but it'll take 2 days for them to call you back.
Oh my god.
So the next day, I just went out to the store and bought the game physical and came home and started playing it that way. I still technically have the game as a code.
Jeez. What a boring dystopia.
That's gaming in 2022.
All right. We've talked about gaming nightmares. The one thing I really wanted to talk about, and I couldn't think of a better episode than the one you're on with us, Wood. Having you here, I think it's perfect. I want to talk about everybody's 10 out of 10 games. What's your personal, think all the way back, even if they sucked, your guilty pleasures, whatever. Like, what game, brings you? Because I have, games that, in my soul, I'm like, you feel that. It's kind of like movies when you watch it and you're like, this is, I don't even care. This might be good just because it's, holds some value and nostalgia, What are those games to you?
I have two. Oh, go. You got yours?
I want you guys to go first, is what I was going to say.
I have 2 games that I can readily think of that elicited an emotional response from me. I think the first one, I think it was Halo 3. Because it was that very end of the game when you see there's a fucking piece of a plane or something, and it has a thing carved in it, in remembrance of John, Master Chief, as his name's John. I feel like, Wood, you're looking at me like I know his name's John.
I just smile and it's fine.
Because it was after playing, it was a third game. I had played it for how many years, and how many fucking hours of multiplayer, and then it was this nice little cozy ending, and I was I felt sad, yeah. So that one, and then BioShock, when you find out that you've been would you kindly when you find out that was the triggering word phrase to make you there was something. It was the first time that a video game had this weird existential premise, and I as a human being felt manipulated. I was like, holy fuck, I'll never forget that ending.
It's super cool, yeah.
And then you beat the dude's fucking face in with a golf club.
Oh Jesus!
So those are my 2. And I guess it isn't necessarily a 10 out of 10. It's just as far as a video game.
It's a great game.
Oh yeah, they're all.
It doesn't have to be. I didn't say that as in it has to be master. I just mean to you, they, games that really impacted you growing up.
Yeah. So what are yours, Aaron?
So my brother and I grew up on Doom and Duke Nukem. Those were the games that my mom wouldn't let us play, but then my brother would always sneak copies home and we would play. I remember Duke Nukem had a part where you could literally hand strippers money and they would show their boobs, and little 9-year-old me was watching oh my god. But Doom was so revolutionary because that was really the first 3D walkthrough. Up until then I was playing stuff oh man, Commander Keen. I don't know if you guys
Oh
even
yeah,
heard
I
of
love that game.
You know Commander Keen?
Mm-hmm.
The 3D realm was just, that was, going 3D was really cool. That was a big moment. GTA 3 had a very big impact on me. I would spend hours. I think the idea of the open realm, world just blew my mind.
Was that the first
growing
game
up on
like that we played? That was like, I mean, what else was open world before Grand Theft Auto? I know it existed.
GTA 3 was the one that like revolutionized it, but I'm sure that there might have been something before it that like played with the idea. I want to
Google first open world game because I don't know. Apparently Jet Rocket on Sega back in the day. So, but as far as 3D, let's do 3D first. 3D.
Dude, you saying Jet Rocket reminded me of Jet Force Gemini. I fucking love that game.
Great game. Apparently there was a game in 1985 called Mercenary, which has been cited as the first open world 3D action adventure. But what you're saying with GTA 3 being like the first one to revolutionize it and really give it life, yes, 100%. I would agree with that.
I feel
it's the same with Doom. Actually, Doom was like that led the way for first person shooters.
Yeah, because GTA, I just remember, growing up on games that was like, here's your objective, like do this, and then my brother popping in GTA 3 and being like, you could just drive around, do whatever you want, and being like, what? I could like what's the level? And he's like, there's no level, like not unless you go to do a mission. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So that was big. SSX Tricky, just huge for me. Love that game. And a big one, Half-Life.
Oh yeah.
Half-Life was especially big for me because you could load a editor where you could build levels in Half-Life, and I spent months designing levels. I got actually pretty good at it, and I would design levels for friends to play. And I was pretty young doing it too, and I just thought this is the coolest shit ever.
It was awesome. Was it called Gary's Mod or something, right?
This was before Gary's Mod, and I don't know the name of it, but it was like, I think it was the impetus for like it launched that, but it was way cool.
Yeah. Half-Life was also a revolutionary game.
Oh yeah.
They actually have you played the VR Half-Life, Alex?
That I have not yet, but it's on my list.
That's like revolutionary for VR.
Do you have a VR room in your house, Wood? Where it's like
I don't have a room because I have the Quest 2, which is like all inbuilt cameras. Everything's concise, so you can play it anywhere. And I like that idea a lot more than having to take a whole room. But I actually did just buy a haptic vest that works with my VR, so I can like feel getting like shot and stuff. Cool. And I want to buy a VR treadmill. So when I move to Philly, if you want to visit, Aaron, or either of you, I kind of want a VR room with a treadmill and a vest, and
that's sweet.
Because that's been a dream of mine since like I was a kid, like the whole like inner VR running around thing.
Dude,
yeah, absolutely.
When I was like, I had to been like maybe 12 years old, maybe younger. This was maybe like 97, 98. I went to what is now a Six Flags in our hometown. It was at the time, it was called Geauga Lake. And Aaron, I went there and like there was they had a Duke Nukem VR like kiosk set up where like and they had like little roped off areas where like you put the VR headset on. And, like, I was just playing Duke Nukem, like, VR, like, as, like, probably, I was, like, really young. It was fucking wild. And it was even crazier is, like, having that experience at such a young age, and then, like, it feels like it took forever for it to become, like, having that experience, you would have thought, like, VR would have been popular, like, within the next 5 years, but it's not until now. And it's obviously because the technology, I mean, I don't even know what the setup was when they were doing it, but...
there's a lot of reasons why VR's taken a long time to take off, and I have a lot of theories on that. I think it's been pretty mismanaged as far as what games they've been making. I think now that they're finally starting to remake those older games like Resident Evil 4 in VR, I think that's the best way to get people finally invested in playing games, because who doesn't want to relive their old memories in VR?
That's a good point. Yeah, it makes sense why they're doing it too, and why those games. I'm glad they're doing it well too, because there's no quicker way for VR to backfire than to be like, come check out Resident Evil 4, and it just totally sucks, and people are like, no, I just want to go back to it on the console. So I'm glad that one took off.
Can I do my favorite games now?
Yes, please.
Okay. So just like you with like Doom and that being your first 3D, Ocarina of Time is still my favorite game of all time, and it was my first 3D game. Growing up, I had an NES in my house. My parents actually, I guess, were video gamers. I don't really know what they would. I never saw them play them, but they always wanted to have them. So when I was born and introduced into the world, my parents already had an NES. It came out a couple years before I was born or something. So I grew up playing that and like Mario and a lot of like random NES games and Maniac Mansion.
Dude,
I love Maniac Mansion.
Never beat it, but
I don't know if I beat
that.
it back in the day, but I have beat it since. That game actually got me into point and clicks, which is one of my favorite genres of video games. It's like a guilty pleasure. But then my mom was like, oh, he loves the NES, we'll get a SNES. I actually hated the Super Nintendo for some reason. I just didn't really want anything to do with it. I kept playing NES. But then when I got the 64, it went from literally NES to just here I am in Ocarina of Time. So yeah, it was mind-blowing. I loved that game. I used to go and rent Smash Brothers all the time from Blockbuster. Majora's Mask, when I found out there was a sequel to Ocarina of Time, I was like, what is happening? Like, my whole world of gaming got opened up on the 64, like Mario Kart, like everything. That console was amazing. And from there, I was just like locked and loaded, you know, kept buying them. Launch day, I had a GameCube. Launch day, I had a Wii. Other favorite games of all time, I mean, Breath of the Wild was like revolutionary again for like the Zelda franchise, but also for open world games. I'm trying to think, man. You guys had such good ones with like BioShock and stuff. Oh, as far as like games as a medium, like really like opening my eyes to what they can do. Have you guys played the Telltale Walking Dead games, specifically the first one?
No, but I've heard pretty good things about those. But I've never checked them out.
That was the first time I ever cried playing a video game. Like, I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but like I got to the end and something happens and it's just something that like in video games you're usually in control. I mean, there's examples like BioShock where you get to the end and realize you maybe haven't been, but this was one of those situations where you wanted an outcome and you couldn't do it. Like you couldn't make it happen, and it was just so sad. And I can't say what it is, but yeah, I like teared up, and that I was like, my God, video games as a medium have come so far. And then Last of Us as well was also another one. That opens, I don't know if you guys have played that, but that opens with a tearjerker. You're like half an hour into the game and you're crying. And you're
Wait,
like,
which
okay.
game?
Last of Us, the first one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I watched PewDiePie stream the second one, so in that way I experienced
I just beat the first, and the second is sitting on my shelf. And everybody I tell that to, they're like, put it in, play it right now. And I'm like, I've somehow avoided spoilers, but it's on my list. So
actually,
I need to...
Wood, you saying that game made you tear up, it just reminded me of a game that made me tear up. Burger Time.
What? Because you couldn't eat the burgers?
No, it's a joke.
Stupid.
But
when we go to the arcade, though, Vinny was really into Burger Time.
Dude,
and he would go right for Burger Time.
I was determined because there was this bar in Chicago. And yeah, I went. I was like top 3 on the machine. I got pretty far.
It's a hard game.
Yeah, I love that game.
I like that games can do things like that movies can't, obviously, because because they're interactive, and that it obviously didn't make me tear up, but putting you in uncomfortable situations. I'll never forget the level in Call of Duty where you play like the terrorist and you go into the airport and you're just like shooting random people and being like,
yes, fuck
that. It's like, how many times did I do that in Grand Theft Auto and didn't think anything of it? And then doing it in that scenario, I was like, this is so fucked.
Yeah, there's another Call of Duty recently where you're like storming this apartment building at night and you're trying to find someone and you're breaking into rooms and like there's like civilians in the rooms and stuff and you're trying, not to shoot them. And then there's one where one just jumps out really quickly and I was like, oh God, and I shot and then I realized what I had done and it was horrific. It was such a horrific feeling.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I mean, I have that same thing too, like in games where, well, this is, of course, it's all outside of Grand Theft Auto because mow down multiple, NPCs and not give it a shit. But there's like other games, where it's like, I don't want to kill the hostage. I don't want to. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they should sit children down at the age of 9 and have them do this, and we can weed out who the psychos are.
I think the act of doing that might make you the psycho, but
I mean, I sometimes I wonder about like Call of Duty, like all those games, like what kind of weird like collective effect it is having on people's ability to empathize. Like, I mean, think of now, like, is there going to be a fucking Call of Duty Ukraine versus Russia like 10 years from now? You know, like seriously. I mean, there's, you know,
I mean, like we
not 10
make
years
games,
from now. It'll be
not
more,
10 years,
but like,
we make games about World War II like all the time. It's like
Yeah.
the main like. That's where we take
Yeah.
our inspiration for like every war game, and we try and I say we. I don't really play these games that much, but they try and romanticize them or like, you know, change them or you know make them all exciting when they shouldn't be.
I mean,
But-
how many were set
Yeah.
like in the Middle East where it's like you're killing like
Yeah.
Middle Easterners? You know, I'm ignorant in that I actually can name. I don't know the games well enough to say like you were in this area killing these people, but I mean, those weren't too like we were still occupying Afghanistan while those games were coming out, and it's like I don't know, it's kind of fucked up in a way.
That's why I mostly
I
play
mean-
Kirby's and Mario's, to be fair. But,
It's tough. Games have always been an escape for me, and yeah, like I'm never playing anything that I feel like I want to be super relatable or super, you know, hit super close to home.
I think it depends on how it's done. I like being hit close to home sometimes, but for the most part, yeah, I just want to have a nice time playing the game. I want, you know, happy jumping and collecting gems, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's similar with movies where like you can watch movies to escape or to relate.
Yeah, exactly.
but
Exactly
yeah,
the
that's true.
same.
That's a good point.
I mean, I guess games are a little different because it's like you're actively involved and there's some extra level there.
Yeah.
But
No, I agree. I have a hard time watching stuff that like bums me out. Like everyone keeps telling me to watch Euphoria, but I just keep rewatching Encanto instead because I'm like, this is gonna make me happier.
Wait, what are you watching instead?
Encanto.
What's that?
It's a
Disney film.
Disney movie. It's
okay.
really good. It's
fine.
really
It
good.
is.
Hey, that's fine.
It's
I love
good.
Disney movies or like
should watch it.
animated movies. I like just animated movies like that.
It's an animated one. It's the newest one on Disney Plus that I subscribe for, you know, each month.
Cha-ching. My daughter's obsessed, and when usually is the case if we put a movie on for her, I'm not like full attention because it's like my time to do other stuff. So the first time we put Encanto on, I'm like doing other chores and everything, and it was the movie that I was like going back every 10 minutes to kind of look.
Yeah.
I was so freaking lost. I was like, who, why, what's she doing? Where's she going? Who?
You're like
Bruno?
not paying
Like,
attention, but as soon as you hear we
Yeah.
don't talk about Bruno, you're like, I'll watch this part.
Yeah, I was like, why not? But I remember thinking like, damn, kids movies are getting complex. Like, I remember like thinking like back to, you know, The Lion King
Yeah.
and having a fondness for just like, oh, you know, he goes off, he doesn't want to be king.
No,
and
dude,
then he
we
gets
watched-
called back to
No, we watched that again recently, and well, I don't know if you were, but when we go on this annual trip with some friends, and they have old VHSs at this cabin, and some of us were on some mind-altering substances watching Lion King, and it was fucking heavy. Like when Simba,
I think if you
It is. It's
when
still,
Simba's
it's
like
absolutely
crying
still
over his
heavy.
dead father, it was like we were like, holy shit! How do
You
Yeah, dude.
remember these Disney movies quite differently because Kim mentioned the other day, she was like, you know that Snow White was the first Disney movie? And I looked it up. It was released in 1934. I was like, whoa, that is insane. Almost been 100 years. Let's watch it. It was dark, dude. Like, it was kind of creepy. She's like running through the woods and like these trees with these horrifying faces are trying to grab at her legs, and like the dwarfs were terrifying also. Like a lot of these
Yeah.
Disney movies were weirder and darker than you remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else, you guys?
What else, indeed?
So like, I guess what we can all relate over is that we are all like, you know, content creators. We've all are
Yeah.
chasing whatever, we're trying to figure out like how to navigate. Well, you more so than us. I feel like we're not as active as on YouTube anymore. So
You should
you're. I
be.
feel like you're more closely attuned.
On behalf of everyone listening to this, you should be.
Thanks. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I do appreciate the words of encouragement. How like sustainable is this for you? Or like, what's like 5 years from now? Like, do you still see yourself like doing what you're doing now? Like, what do you think is your future career on these platforms creating like content? How do you think that might be different in 5 years?
Great question. I've actually weirdly been thinking about that a lot lately all of a sudden, because up until now I've been flying by the seat of my pants, you know, making content, everything's going really well. I don't think I've peaked yet because like December is a good judge, because December the revenue is the highest, views are the highest because it's Christmas time, and each December it's better and better and better.
Is that just because people are like home watching shit? Like what is that?
People are home watching stuff, but as far as the revenue stuff, everyone's
like
trying
the ads.
to push ads for Christmas.
Right. Yeah.
You know, everyone's like shopping and watching, and you know, a lot of, especially with what I do, I'm recommending video games. You know, and that's what I really nailed down in around Christmas time is video game reviews and upcoming games and holiday buying guides to really push those extra views. So, you know, every December it's better. So I gauge that as I'm doing good. But I've been thinking a lot lately because I'm like, you know, I'm 31 now and I'm making Nintendo content, but when I'm 45, like, are people going to be wanting to hear what I have to say about Nintendo or, like, you know, gaming in general? Like, maybe I'll keep an audience. Like, I can't really think of many, like, 45-year-old game reviewers right now that are making, like, YouTube content and stuff. So I've been thinking lately, like, what will I do then? And I don't know. I guess
It's a fair answer, honestly.
For the most part, I guess my plan is, like, things are going so well right now that I'm just going to keep going. I want to try starting some new things, new projects. Some things I am talking about, some things I'm not. But for the most part, just keep plugging along and make as much as I can now so that if in 10, 15 years that all runs out, then I not retire, but I have, like, all of that behind me. And I do something else that makes money, whether it's video editing. If I'm just become irrelevant at that point, I can video edit for someone else. I can create media, I can do graphic design, I can kind of do things behind the scenes and hopefully make some money, a little bit of money, or go into advertising or something with, like, my more mature mindset. Like, I don't know, take what essentially at that point would be my portfolio, my resume of, like, look, I understand algorithms, I understand marketing, I understand being an individual, a personality. Like, how can I use this for other companies, or how can I use this for other people? And I guess that is the role I would fall into if I, as a creator, as a person, became irrelevant. But I think it will just naturally shift and change. I think as a new console comes out, as new generations happen, I'll find my place in that generation. I'll find my place within that medium and that media. And, you know, sometimes I look at things like, you guys watch Top Gear or Grand Tour?
I'm familiar.
Sometimes I look at, like, you know, these old farts driving around some, like, desert for 2 days creating content, you know, out there, like, in the wild. And I'm like, I don't know, when I'm like 50, maybe me and a couple friends will go out and film like that and upload that and see who wants to watch that now that I have, like, this legacy behind me or whatever, and, you know, just do something different with it, quirky with it. But yeah, I mean, for now it's just hustling and working literally every day. I say that to Kim because Kim's always like, you know, Kim wants to hang out, she wants to do things, and we make date days and stuff like that. But for the most part, I tell her, I'm like, when we hit 50, we can spend all the time together in the world. But, like, right now, we need money for that. So,
yeah, it's a constant battle. I mean, yeah, you want to save for your future, but also you want to have a life. It's
you want to enjoy the life that you're the one supposedly that you get.
What I think that you have as your advantage is you're just building on a, like you had said, a resume, a wealth of awesome content and knowledge. I mean, like, people absolutely will want to see you, you know, as you get older, review things and commentate on things, because I think that's why people do appreciate the Top Gear guys. Or, I mean, I can think of a couple guys on YouTube that I watch, like, to do tech reviews, and, you know, they're older and, like, they have that experience, you know.
Yeah.
They're not, they've lived through a lot of generations of tech, and so that holds value, which I think that you'll have later on. You know, that's to say, if you want to be doing the same thing, you might keep going and be like, you know, find your interest to be like, oh, I want to switch, like you're saying, to a new project that, you know, that you end up liking that much more. But that's what's so cool is, like, you have that potential, you know, to do those things and test it out. So that's pretty cool.
It also depends, you know, and I never count this out, but, like, the platforms and, like, what happens. Like, are people going to be making long form reviews on YouTube in 10 years? Will YouTube be a thing in 10 years? Like, are we lucky that YouTube is still here now? When you look at things like Facebook closing not closing their doors, but who uses Facebook or Instagram anymore? And they're having to, like, rebrand as, like, Meta. Like, how long until that happens to YouTube? How long till
Dude,
something else
nothing's
comes
happening
around?
to YouTube. It'll be here forever.
Is TikTok
forever.
that thing? I mean, TikTok could already be the start of the end. I mean,
Time to transition.
I think you guys should be on TikTok, but that's my.
We're
opinion.
trying to get our account back.
Did that not happen yet? I was meant to ask you, Aaron.
I don't know. You tell me, dude. You're talking to John.
I messaged the person. I haven't heard back.
Somebody has our F&D handle, and they were using it probably better than we were at the time to upload F&D clips. But then the time came where we were like, oh, we want to upload some of our stuff to F&D. And so we're like, well, we want the handle back. So we've been
You were just letting that fly while you were like, we're
I
fine.
didn't know it. We didn't know it. I just kind of randomly searched out. People were like, hey, you guys should start a TikTok. And I was finally like, all right, well, let's do it. And then I searched F&D, or I tried to make it, and it was like, this account is taken. I was like, what the? So...
The thing with talk, without getting into it, is you guys are so funny, and you can so easily do those short form skits and throw them on the TikTok, and I could see them doing very well, and that builds viewership. It builds a fan base that you can then turn into revenue, whether that's bringing people over to this podcast or bringing them to YouTube and using that as a jumping off point, or sponsorships on TikTok get insane. But another thing
wrong.
I was telling Vinny is with TikTok, the way their algorithm works is it's per video. It's not like my channel has built up this channel algorithm. So when I upload something, the algorithm sees, oh, I uploaded. TikTok is literally like, here is a video. Are people watching it? Is it good? Is it funny? Are people watching the whole thing? If they are, share it out. Doesn't matter if the account has 1 follower or 1 million followers.
Yeah, no, that is definitely to our advantage. I think I'm pretty sure we were shadow banned on YouTube.
What did we do?
I think it's probably our inconsistent uploads.
I don't think you would get shadow banned for that. The algorithm sucks, and it gets trained very badly, very quickly.
Fucking irrelevant old farts, Aaron. That's what it is. We're just
it's literally just
that's it.
You weren't consistent and you didn't upload enough, so the algorithm literally just saw no views and went no views. So when you upload again, it's like, but these guys get no views, and it doesn't understand. You have to retrain it. You have to upload a lot, and you have to seed back into the algorithm. It's a nightmare.
Well, did you listen to our last episode or one of our previous with Cooper Wood?
Yes, I did.
So
I enjoyed it.
We kind of, I think we should try to tell people, like, when we went out with you to the convention and we had long talks about our YouTube channel, that was like definitely one of the beginnings of us trying to revitalize it. And like, okay, we're gonna do more dailies, we're gonna do more sketches, but you really do hit. You get burned out when you're not seeing that return. You know, like
100%.
So, and I'm not saying it wouldn't have ever happened, but when that was like our main job, when freelance wasn't coming in, and it was like, all right, we're gonna make F&D happen, and we were just grinding and just like shooting and like editing, and then it's like you're not seeing the numbers increase. You're like, what am I doing wrong? Like what? Like, yeah, I know that I'm grateful for everybody who watches us. But like we would try to turn it into something more. That's what I think I like about this podcast. Is I told Vin is like, I'd be content if our viewership never changed. I just like doing it. I like talking to people. I of course would love if more people watched and we could somehow monetize it and stuff. That'd be freaking amazing. Mm-hmm. But for now, I don't want to lose that spark that started F&D, which was just like, let's go out and make cool stuff. And if people come and watch it and like it like we like it, then that's an added bonus.
Bro, if our Patreon doesn't hit 1,000 a month, no, 3,000 a month in the next year, I'm going to just say fuck it all, and I'm going to build a Earth ship, and I'm gonna live in the desert and be stinky all the time.
That's the spirit. Ahead. You should vlog your adventures in the stinky desert, and you might do well on TikTok with that.
Anything can be turned into content. So
anything can be. Yes. Well, I know YouTube as far as I know what I know, and I know what works for me, but I feel like I have a pretty good understanding. And I said this when we met, but if you guys ever want to bounce things off me, or like we have this idea, how do you think it'll seed in the algorithm, or I can like give you ideas for like titles or like the back end stuff, I'm always willing to help you guys. I just want more content from you.
All right, we'll talk after this.
Okay.
We will. Oh, there was something else I wanted to ask you, Wood. Like when I'm always interested in this because Vinny's been Twitch streaming too. Like as a Twitch streamer,
Game Goth has. We're two different entities.
Okay, right. Sorry, Game Goth. I forgot. Do you have like a preference between the two? I mean, obviously you do so much work on YouTube, but is it ever relieving when you can just go on and play a game and like that's your content? It's almost like podcasting in a way, is like there's a lot less like post to it, if you will. Do you enjoy that at all, or is it like you really get the satisfaction out of editing and whatnot your videos for YouTube?
It's a very heavy-handed question. For the most part, if I was given a choice, like you have to pick one, I would pick YouTube, because I get that satisfaction out of, making something, creating content, or like making a review with like skits and music and all of that people come in the often, thankfully, not, but hundreds of thousands of views coming in. And I feel like I'm entertaining like a huge chunk of people, and it's so satisfying, and I'm so thankful for all of it, and I would never want to lose it. But being able to do both is really cool, but it is really stressful, and I wouldn't necessarily say that Twitch is easier. Like, obviously, I love that when I want to stream, I can turn the lights on, start going, and start creating the content. But something that I've realized more recently, as my Twitch has been growing and has becoming, pretty popular, and I've been really enjoying having people over there, is that the way I was streaming before wasn't exactly entertaining, or at least what I consider entertaining. I used to think like you would just go live, play games, and hang out, But I started putting, I guess, more pressure on it, or more expectation on it, where I'm like, well, people will watch more and watch longer if I'm more entertaining, if more things are happening, if I'm talking more, if I'm funnier, if, my lights are flashing in the background when they sub. Like, how much work can I do now, and how much effort can I put into making this as entertaining as possible? So now when I go live, it went from me sitting and chilling on stream and being like, it's fun to chill with you guys, to me essentially turning on the video to make a YouTube video, turning on the camera to make a YouTube video, and full bore would entertainer mode for 3, 4, 6, 8 hours. I'm just talking and screaming and yelling and having a party, and that's become very draining. Like, I'll finish a stream now and my voice will be sore, and I'll be like all raspy. I'll be exhausted. I can't do anything else the rest of the day. So I've definitely grown to appreciate those streamers that are streaming all the time and being entertaining all the time. And it's hard. It's hard because, like, I have these videos I do now, and I have deadlines, I have sponsors, and I'm like even right now, I was supposed to stream tonight, but I already had this video that I had to make, and I wanted to be here on this podcast, so I had to like cancel the stream. But often I do cancel the streams, even though people are waiting to watch me there. I'm like, if I don't get this video out by Friday, I'm screwed. So I'll just Discord, and I'm like, sorry, there's no stream tonight.
I have a hack for you. Look, you're a good looking guy. You started working out. Take that fucking shirt off and stream.
Okay.
Are you kidding me, bro?
That's actually not allowed on Twitch.
Put a bathing suit on. Get in the hot tub.
Guys, is
there still hot tub streamers?
There's actually a whole category now for hot tub streamers, and I did do a hot tub stream once. It was in an inflatable pool in my garage in winter, and I got sick, but I did it.
What were the numbers like? What was the turnaround?
Oh, it was fantastic. I had little rubber ducks, and every time someone subbed, I wrote their name on the duck and put it in the pool.
Hell yeah, bro. I think there are, I don't know, I think use that body, use that long hair of yours, right.
I don't think this body's as good as what you might think it is. I sit here editing videos and playing games most of the day. It's pretty frumpy.
I don't know. Well, my imagination is doing you wonders right now.
Right. Okay. Well, maybe after the thing has done recording, we can take our shirts off.
And you show me, we will, and just purely professional, you show me what you're working with.
All right.
Give each other some workout
as long
tips.
as you show me, because I need to see what we can do with your body.
Yeah.
So I need a starting point.
I've since I got in my accident a couple of months ago, I haven't really worked out, so.
That's fine.
You flabby,
Nothing.
I'm not flabby. I'm just like.
I'm flabby.
Skinny.
I'm flabby.
You're just not toned.
I'm not toned at all. I don't think. No.
What are you eating, bro? What's your diet?
Factor, which you can get with code BeatEmUps at factor.com.
Hey, stop that! Stop that! No, you didn't.
No, sorry. Wait, I mean, F&D Patreon. Subscribe today.
No, I don't actually care. No, what is it? Is that a meal subscription thing?
That's just a sponsor I did recently. They actually are good. No, I eat low calorie. Actually, right now I'm trying to put on muscle again, so I'm eating a little over my calories, but it's very healthy, like greens and vegetables and meats and all of that. I've always eaten healthy. I gain weight really easily. I used to be overweight when I was a teenager, so if I don't like watch what I eat all the time, I'll just balloon out.
Yeah, I'm the exact opposite. Like I have to try to put on weight. Like I have to eat crazy amounts of food. When I was trying to put on muscle years ago, I was I don't even know what my calorie count was. It was kind of like not counting. I was just like I need lots of
I think I would rather that, honestly. For like my career and stuff, I would rather that.
Oh yeah, another quick kind of hack to getting views would start a beef with somebody.
Yeah. I haven't done that yet.
What do you think about like YouTube drama in general? Like whole
I love it.
videos devoted to...
I love it so much.
Do you eat it up?
That's the content I consume the most on YouTube. Is I watch a lot of commentary channels, a lot of drama channels. I don't know, man. I just eat it up. Like
do you
Cody
watch
Ko and Drew Gooden and all of those boys, as well as a bunch of drama channels. Yeah.
Who's the guy? He and Ethan Klein from H3.
Oh yeah, I watch every
Keemstar?
Keemstar. Do you watch Keemstar?
I do not, because I hate him. I am very much Team Ethan. I watch every podcast episode. Actually, before we went live, I was catching up with his new one. I watch them all, and Keemstar is a prick, and I will say that openly and publicly.
Yeah, no,
I think I'm too small fry for him to care about me, but you know, I don't swear in my content. But he is a piece of doo-doo. We'll say doo-doo. I don't like that.
I actually
title.
noticed that you haven't been swearing, and I think Aaron and I.
Yeah, we've been dropping it like right and left. And you know what? I meant to tell Vinny. I know, but I meant to tell Vin. We have always done that, and I've always wanted to cut back. Every time I listen to an episode back or I'm editing, I'm just like, dude, we swear so much, and it'd be so good to cut back.
Yeah,
it would
okay,
help
I'll make
your
a
CPMs if.
Yeah.
I'll make a concerted effort to not.
I think you guys should do you though, and I mean, if that is you, you should do it. But if you're comfortable cutting back, it does help the algorithm, especially if you try, at least not to swear for the first 5 minutes of a video or a podcast. That would help.
It's also from like a comedy standpoint. It's like cheap laughs. It's like it's easy to swear and think that's funny.
I think your viewers would want you to be you, and I say that as a viewer. Like if you swear, I'm down to hear it. But as far as the algorithm goes, it listens for the first. Some people say 30 seconds. Some people say 5 minutes. But if you can avoid dropping at least any F-bombs for the first 5, you'll be better off in the algorithm.
Interesting.
Oh, it's a tough pill, Wood. I don't know if we can do it.
Set a timer at the start of each episode.
Tough fucking pill. Swallow. No, just kidding. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Wood. It was awesome to have you.
Yeah,
and
dude, this is
glad we could reconnect.
I'm so happy. I wanted to create something with you guys so bad, and this is awesome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you both.
We'll plan for another one down the road.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Oh, yeah,
There's so much more we could talk about.
Yeah, we'll do
I
this
want to
again.
hang out again, and we have that group chat that we didn't really use since 2019. We could try using again.
Oh yeah, let's turn that on.
Okay.
Good.
I'll send a text message right now.
All right, well, cool. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Wood, we'll be in touch, and thanks for joining again.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
It's Fonecallz.